Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new edition of Kick-Ons. He was rested last week for team balance. We went with a tall forward line. It's wet. We need a run-with player, and we've got the best there's ever been in Kane Corns. Welcome back.
Great to be back. Heard the ratings plummeted. I wasn't here, so it's good to be back. But where's our man?
We are a man down physically, but we are not for the show because he joins us remotely. Come in, Game Boy. Where are you, my friend?
Well, I'm in the den. I'm in the Lions' den. It was good enough for Kane, the captain, to have a week off. It's good enough for you, Richo, to have a week off a little bit later. So I couldn't tolerate the journey down the freeway and back. So I've saved myself 2 hours. I'm going to have a little work from home day.
I absolutely love it. And I love the very subtle earpiece and microphone work as well. We've got a lot to reflect on. And let's start with you, Skipper, with your multi, with this. Take us through, you went with goal scorers.
I copied JJ. I've been so jealous of his anytime goal scorer. So this is a big multi. Marby old child, bang, done. I'm on fire, Charlie Cameron. No worries at all. Not even a question with Charlie. Bang. Here we go. My man, Will Hayward, just slots this one nice and early. I'm feeling pretty good about myself right about now. Willie Rioli, he kicked a couple. This was in the first quarter. Bang, so I'm done there. I can rest easy. Of course, Paul Curtis is going to kick one. He kicked 3, and this is nice and early as well. I'm going, how good am I? How
he kicked 2 in the first couple of minutes.
Cozzy bounced back. He kicked 3 after a quiet one against the Saints. I'm looking really good until the last quarter.
Get it, Kaka.
Put your foot on it. Kick it! And he lets it go. So that ruined the whole thing. It's been a lean patch. It's been a real lean patch, and poor old Isaac Kako just could not find a way to get his toenail on that ball, Richo.
You have nearly 10,000 followers and only 20 have the confidence to get involved in that, JJ.
My goodness.
Well, there's a good reason for that. That is also a Carn Kane because the anytime goal scorer multi is mine. So stay in yo lane. The problem is mine was the same. I had all bar Jack Darling kick a goal for me as well. So Kane and I both fell 1 goal kicker short. But just a little warning, Kane, stay in yo lane.
Now tell me, I believe that you want to give yourself some flowers. What happened?
Well, feel free to give them to me. I don't have to give them to myself. Nice little multi. NBA Finals, of course. We're not just looking for winners in the AFL. NBA Finals, have a look at this. Big prize as well. Plenty of legs. So check that out. The NBA Finals are still going. Of course, Game 4's not far away. So check us out on the feed because it's not just the AFL, Richo.
No, you are outstanding, mate. Your knowledge of the hoops is brilliant. So a big tick to you. Well done. So follow us on the feed. All our deets have been there, broadcast. Get involved, especially follow Kick-Ons because we have a lot of fun with it. Let's start to preview the games. Hawthorn, Adelaide, Launceston, night, 12 degrees, not a cloud, and it's got to be balmy.
Yep, it'll be balmy, it'll be cold, but usually it's pretty dry down there. It doesn't actually rain that often, so it's a nice big ground to play on. Hawthorn play it really well. 7 of their last 7 there. They've won 2 of those by 100 plus. The other 5 have been in tight margins. Adelaide, the last team to beat them down there when the Thil Seeker, I think, on debut, kicked 5. But there's the record there. JJ, I felt like Hawthorn needed that win against the Dogs last Thursday night. They are back, and the Crows needed a scalp as well, and they got one. So this is the game of the round. Once again on a Friday night.
Absolute cracker. You're spot on. Can't wait to sit down and. I'm hopeful that the weather is really good because I felt like last week Brisbane and Adelaide was going to be an epic if the weather was dry. We still got an exciting game, but I don't know whether conditions played a part in what happened late in the game. So hopefully it's a good night. Hopefully Hawthorn. I don't reckon they were in 5th gear against the Dogs. I reckon they're still sort of clunking around in 4th, trying to find 5th gear. Some players still trying to find some form. So they're interesting. Certainly good to see them back in the winners list. And Adelaide, they got the scalp we demanded, but this is another level, isn't it? Going to Tasmania, they haven't won these type of games in a long time. So I can't wait to see what this game looks like. Hopefully it's an offensive game as well. Last week was all about defence and no scoring. Hopefully this is a high-scoring game and we can see both teams play to their very best.
And that's interesting, 15 or less for either team there at $2.40. What about the goal-scoring power of Adelaide? a topic you've had a big opinion on for a long time.
I have, and they feel like that this is a strength of theirs. I have other thoughts on that. We'll get to that in a minute, but there's no doubt about the thrill seeker, Riley Thilthorpe, because he kicked 5 there last time on debut, as we said, and they've got so many options. So, I mean, that's the beauty of it. Rochelle's got himself into some really good form. The Keys are the best and fairest winner from last year, is on fire. It's more been the smalls, to be fair, than the talls that are doing the damage. I thought Jordan Dawson going forward at times this year, particularly late last week, was instrumental in that win. So they've got a lot of options. I just don't necessarily think it's the talls who their form, including Riley Thilthorpe, has just started to slip.
Keezy there at 2+, as opposed to 3. 2+ is a nice bet. Who's on notice?
Well, speaking of the Adelaide forwards, it's Darcy Fogarty. He's on notice. I thought he started the season really strongly, fresh off a 7-year deal at Adelaide.
Oh, here we go.
And he's just slipped. So let's look at some of his numbers. This is since round 9. They don't look like big margins, but they are. Like nearly half a score involvement. The goals have dropped off. The marks inside 50, nearly one less. Marks in general, disposals. There's too many of them. It's crowded. It's not his fault. And we're seeing some of this. He can go a whole game and you've hardly noticed that he's been out there. So I'm waiting for him to once again grab a game by the scruff of the neck and remind everyone of the future that he is and the investment that Adelaide have put into him, but it is difficult because of that forward line being so crowded.
And part of that crowded forward line is the big Tex, and you've got him on the radar again.
Well,
you've done some deep diving.
Well, yeah, I have.
Some deep diving in regards to time in forward.
Own it, Kane, own it.
I have.
You seem reluctant.
This came through my inbox.
I did.
Someone just flicked me this. So with him on the ground, 5 goals in 90 minutes. They start him on the bench in the last quarter. They go bang, 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 kick 3 straight away. So
that's a coincidence.
5 goals in 38 minutes with him on the bench. So I don't know. Do they pick him, JJ, or do they just have a nice little convenient rest again for your man, the big Texan?
I'm not disputing that maybe by round 20 or maybe in a final series, he's not in the team. I'm not disputing that maybe the best version of them later in the year is not a forward line with 2.5 talls versus 3.5 talls, if you want to call it that. But at the moment, Kane, I don't know how you can look that forward line in the face and say that it needs to look differently at the moment, because the smalls are doing their job. The talls have all kicked goals in the early part of the season. They've kicked 1,300 plus points, 1,313 points total. No other team has kicked that many points across the season. They're the highest scoring team in the league, highest scoring, best performed forward line in the league, and you want to upend it.
I think they're flat track bullies a little bit though, because when it was against Collingwood, they weren't effective and efficient. When it was against Brisbane, they kicked 5 goals to 3/4 time. And if Brisbane had just kicked 1 goal 7 instead of 0 goals 8, Brisbane win, and then it's a different discussion that we're having. So it's just a watch. It's been a watch all year. It'll be fascinating to see which way he goes, and is Matthew Nicks brave enough, if he needs to make a hard call on one of those 3 talls?
I expect him to be brave enough the way he's playing. Hey, JJ, Josh Rochelle and Keezy.
Yeah, they're both going beautifully, aren't they? So a lot of the early season work was done by the big dogs. It was, the thrill seeker dominating, and Fogarty was good early. Just on Fogarty, I don't reckon he's been the same player since that shoulder injury that he sustained. But this guy, Rochelle, he's been consistent. Now, he makes a rod for his own back the way he celebrates and carries on, but he's playing good footy. And I mean, Keys is a guy I think you just have to admire, even if he's not your guy, even if he's not your cup of tea per se. You've just got to admire his work rate and his willingness to show up. He just shows up contest to contest. He continually gets underrated and disrespected by the opposition. And he just says, no worries. If you're not going to put a man on me, I'll just keep kicking goals. I'll keep winning contests, and I'll keep being a big factor in why we win games of footy.
Gee, this is a South Australian run sheet, isn't it? None even mention Hawthorn. Anyway, we'll move off from the Hawks. Bad luck, Hawks fans, even if they're playing. Let's go to Brisbane versus GWS Giants.
They're in all sorts, the Giants. They're in all sorts. They've got spot fires everywhere. So not only their midfield doesn't look as damaging, they can't move the footy, JJ. What has happened to this? And they are disrespected, and rightly so. 3:30, you can't make a case for them at the Gabba against Brisbane with the way that they are playing. And I reckon I've hit the panic button on the Giants. Where do you sit?
Yeah, I'm probably similar. So, their issues have been with ball in hand, and that's what we've loved about them. The Orange Tsunami, well, It's a trickling little puddle at the moment, Richo, and I reckon they're feeling the loss of personnel big time. So Perryman goes out of that team. They lose Cumming and Peatling to Adelaide. We know Callan Ward's not coming back. I reckon we're now understanding why clubs like Adelaide and Collingwood went after those free agents. And in trade period last year, Kane, you and I were doing trade radio. It's not like you're thinking, oh my God, the Giants have lost Perryman. But now you start to see what those role players meant to that team. All of a sudden, you go through GWS's 23 and they've got names in there, and I'm not going to reel them off because they're young players trying to find their way in the game, but that's what they're doing. They're making mistakes. And against Port Adelaide last week, the Giants couldn't have a chain of play that didn't involve a young player who probably made the wrong decision at the wrong time.
Kicked it straight back to the opposition. So that was just an awful game of football. But anyway, Port Adelaide got it done. So we'll see where it sits. But JJ's right. When you take Finn Callahan out, when Toby Green was injured early, then you expose your depth, and they just couldn't move the footy. But to make the 8, I mean, who would have thought?
It's interesting. If they drop this game, looking at the draw, Bulldogs might win. I mean, Bulldogs got a soft draw.
Oh, yeah.
Bulldogs come in, they come out, and that's probably the lock for the 8.
Yeah, I think there's only 9 teams that can make the 8 now. They are one of them. We'll see whether Carlton get on a run. They've got a pretty easy next 3 weeks, so they'll be feeling better about themselves in 3 weeks' time. But if not for Taylor and Buckley...
Oh, my God.
Taylor played the perfect game. Like, you can't play better than how he played on the weekend. So these are the duo, 21 marks, 27 intercepts. Taylor took 7 intercept marks as spoils, and the 1v1 contest won against a good opponent in Georgiades, who's been Port Adelaide's most damaging forward. But I'm telling you, Sam Taylor could not have played any better. 19, 7 intercept marks. He went at 100%. Just a genuine star and in line for another All-Australian Blazer.
Let's turn to Brisbane, JJ. What about Cam Rayner? I'm calling him my man. I love him.
Your man.
I beg your pardon. Well, if he's your man, you've stolen him off me because he's my man. I reckon, Kane, the best way to use Rayner is, we often talk about, we don't see him enough in games. He's a moments player. And I think that's because he doesn't get to play around the ball enough. But I think he looks like their best if you want to clear out the full forward line or clear out the 50, like Collingwood do for Jamie Elliott. Whenever this guy comes charging out at the footy, he is an absolute handful. So I wonder whether their forward line might need to revolve around him in terms of him being the deepest forward, him having some space, because you're not going to move him in a one-on-one. He's going to move you. He's going to be quicker than you. He's more dynamic at ground level. So I wonder if he can be that pseudo full forward for them moving forward, because he's certainly dangerous when he can get the ball in space.
Yeah, I thought he was enormous, and they used him a little bit more at centre bounce, which I like as well. So centre bounce forward, there's his market, 3+ goals, $6 there. He's been a little bit too inconsistent for me, and that's part of the role that he plays, and just trying to build that engine, and they have so many options that play that role for him. But if he can do that, regularly, what he did against Adelaide, then he's going to be a completely different player and a real weapon for them as they chase back-to-back premierships.
You're at the MCG watching Carlton versus Essendon. Did you see enough of Essendon to think, hey, I like the upside and they could challenge Geelong, or do you see it a bit of a demolition?
Yeah, I see it as probably a demolition, just with the way that Geelong are going, and Essendon's outs. Like, poor old Goldie trying to ruck against De Koning. It was just, I felt sorry for him. But there's the win streak. It's their 1000th game involved in football. Brad and Chris Scott together. They just happen to coach against each other.
Oh, wow.
But not a great record for Brad. You can see the average margin there and the average score. And where Essendon have lost this year, they've conceded big scores. So I worry about their backline. Mackay, Ridley, Redmond, Reid. If they're not there, which they weren't against the Blues, then Geelong's forwards, Neil and Cameron, Dempsey and...
So you like the line there?
Yeah, I love
they'll cover that.
Yeah, easy. I should have put that in our team multi, actually.
And what about Jez? Can Jez get a bag here?
What do you reckon, JJ? He's kicked a couple of big bags. Still the leader for the Coleman, but there it is, 4+ at 320. You'd be liking that, I would have thought.
Yeah, I don't know there's a matchup for him. I mean, a Laverde or, whether he's even in their best side at the moment with Zach Reid injured, I'm not too sure. So, yeah, they've got holes all over the place, the Bombers. A lot of the damage in those big wins for Geelong has been done by Tom Hawkins. He's got an unbelievable record against Essendon, so that's helpful because last time I checked, he won't be out there. He's playing for the Beaufort Crows or whatever they are recently. So they'll give themselves a chance, Essendon. I like what they're doing, but we just haven't seen, an Archie Perkins just quite get to the next level. We're not seeing those guys get to the next level. So, when they take Merritt out of the middle and when they only have others in the middle like a Caldwell and a Durham who won't be there for obvious reasons, they're going to be weakened around the ball, and you'd expect Holmes and those type of guys to get to work and therefore give Jeremy Cameron a great opportunity to kick a big bag.
How good was Holmes? The ability to run was absolutely unbelievable. That is the most lethal weapon in sport, is speed. Hey, let's put the shot clock and let's get it ready. And I'll direct them various ways. Can I start with the Pies? Did we get a little idea, a little blueprint how to beat them?
Well, it's a blueprint on how to beat anyone. Bring elite pressure and ferocious pressure and bring it for the majority of the game. That's what Melbourne did. Their tackling was enormous. They swarmed them. And when you do that, even good teams make errors. I thought Melbourne's contest stuff was great. They were just inefficient going inside forward 50 again. But if you're going to play Collingwood, bring that sort of heat.
And don't worry about you, big boy. We're going to get to you because I'm going to allow you to talk about Nick Dacos. To tag or not tag?
You have to tag. I'm not, I don't love taggers, generally speaking, but no, you have to tag him. I mean, if you had have said to me, I'll give you 3 guesses or 4 guesses in Melbourne's team who would go to Nick Dacos, I don't think I would have got Ed Langdon right. So that shows to me that every team should have someone who's got the running power. That's probably the first part of it. The second part of it would be the concentration and the discipline to do it. And when you take him out of the game, it's effectively 17 on 17. That's a great result for the opposition.
I feel like we're on the Brady bunch. Over to you, Greg Brady. Here, Sydney, what's a pass mark the rest of the season?
Well, I win a premiership, really. That was, unfortunately, when you
pass mark for the rest of the season. That's not going to happen.
Well, I know, but when you make the grand final, so they've already failed. When you made the grand final the previous year, and you change the coach.
Okay, but what about the rest of the season?
Who cares? It doesn't matter. We're in it to win premierships, particularly if you're at that top end, which Sydney are. So they cannot have a pass mark for the rest of the year. They've already failed.
Okay, Greg Brady, very angry indeed about that. What about you, Bobby Brady? What's Richmond's pass mark for the rest of the year?
I'll smile, but I've got no idea who you're talking about. I think Richmond have already ticked their season off. I think they've already... even if and I think they will suffer some heavy defeats in the back half of the year. Older players are going to get, tired and injured. Young players are going to get really tired and probably need some rest along the way. So I think we'll see them cop some big defeats. But I think they've already surpassed what most people thought of them. So I think they've done a great job.
Okay, and Gold Coast. So post-bye historically is time to worry. Now, Dan Gorringe put this on our radar last week.
Oh, he bought some gold, did he?
He bought some gold.
Hello.
As though that you were sort of schooling him. What do you think?
Nah, they're a different unit than what they have been in 23, 22 and 21.
Yeah, that's a young team.
Not one worry about this team at all. The draw is pretty soft. They will be absolutely fine. There's too much talent in this lineup not to feature significantly at the top end of the 8.
Okay. So rest easy, everyone. So he's thrown Dan's theory straight out the window. Bad luck, Orange.
Yeah.
You're gone. You're watching Kick-Ons. A quick break. Welcome back to Kick-Ons with a future Hall of Famer in Kane Corns and a gamer who's playing Fortnite in Josh Jenkins, who are joining us as, well, there he is. Can I talk about your favourite topic, the mighty Kangaroos? They are playing Fremantle in a home game for North Melbourne at Optus in Perth.
Yeah, good luck to them with that one. Thank goodness for them, they were able to storm home and win against West Coast in Bunbury. What a disaster that would have been if you sell 2 home games and lose both, because they're not winning this week, but they were ordinary. If West Coast had have kicked straight, Richo, I think they had 22 more entries. At one point they'd kicked 1 goal, 14. So I just hope they've reviewed this nice and hard, because they should be beating West Coast by 5-6 goals if you line up where they're both at with their development and their rebuild.
And did you like Harry Sheezel in the middle and going forward?
You know what? I loved it. I've been doing a victory lap around Seacliff in South Australia all week, because it is so nice. It is so nice that Clarko actually agrees with me, and he sat down and he analysed what I said. He says, you know what? Kane was right. I put my hand up. He needs to be playing in the front half of the ground. So me and Clarko, Todd, Viney, Jen Watt, Sonia Hood, we're all like arm in arm this week.
Kumbaya.
Harry Sheezel, we've got him playing where he should be playing. We all agree.
No, we don't. No, we don't. He should not be playing anywhere near the forward 50. Now, let me explain why. He does not have any top-end speed in terms of running. He can't get from the middle of the ground. Anytime North Melbourne got that ball with speed going into their forward 50, he was caught in between. He doesn't have what Paul Curtis has in terms of the breakaway speed, top-end speed to get from one contest to the next. He needs to be cruising around the middle and the back half of the ground, using and distributing the footy. I could not disagree with Kane any more on this one.
Well, that's okay. That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out if you want your most talented player just waltzing around, taking kick-outs and getting the Sheezies across half-back. Actually challenge him, and it doesn't have to be as a small forward.
He doesn't have the running power.
He can play in the midfield. He's got to learn to have that running capability and that running power. It's too easy. It's too much of a cop-out to say, you know what, for 10 years, just go play at half-back. He's too good for that. He needs to be doing what Nick Martin is doing, challenging the opposition, front of centre, impacting scores, kicking the ball inside forward 50 and having a scoreboard impact. Because when he was getting his 35 across half-back, it was to little success anyway from a team perspective. So I think you challenge him hard. It's the right move, and JJ and I are on different sides.
Okay, Port Adelaide versus Melbourne, Adelaide Oval. Both teams are basically cooked.
Yeah, pretty
Basically.
much. Pretty basically, yeah. I mean, the winner of this game will have a little bit of hope.
Yeah, that's
just and season's still alive. Horn Francis will come back, which is a big boost for Port Adelaide. I can't make a case for Port. From what I saw last week, I know they won, but gee, it was an ordinary game of football. So I think Melbourne, with the way that they are playing, it's pretty even contest, and there's the numbers to make the 8, or the odds to make the 8. But I think Melbourne win this game.
Okay. Hey, you've got a Carn JJ.
I do have a
Why?
Carn, because I was on Twitter, or X.
Yeah.
I was on X. And I read this. So if we can get hopefully we've got his tweet. This is in relation to Cozzy Pickett's new deal. 9 years, $12.5 million. Now, JJ's initial take on this deal, he reckons it changes very little. He's expressed desire to leave under his current deal, so what's to stop that under this new deal? You know what's to stop that, JJ? It's Melbourne saying, you're not going anywhere, son. You're with us for the next 9 years. If they don't want him to go, if they want to keep him, they will keep him.
Well, son, have any clubs ever done that? No.
Yes, they have.
Go on.
I'm going to separate you two by about 100 Ks. A quick break. You're watching Kick-Off.
Can't, JJ.
JJ, headlines are in.
Get rid of the boring bye rounds, for the love of God.
And my North Melbourne Kangaroos selling home games. They can't win. They can't win at home.
And Charlie Curnow bag, and we're in the race for the Coleman. For our footy trip, we need a confidence builder. So it's a small fish. It's only $1.97, but we need to get a confidence builder and stop the rot. What about from our multi point of view, JJ?
Well, you mentioned Charlie Curnow. He feasts on the Eagles. I've got him to kick 4+.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think Carlton to cover the line there against West Coast.
And I think Kai Loman, I've started to see he's improving fitness-wise. Yeah. Gamer, you've been good from a distance, mate. Well done.
I do this every week.
Good to have you back.
It's great to be back. Gee, I love you guys.
God, I love kick-ons. See you next week.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.